Hi everyone, this is Perfume Coast, so welcome to my channel. Today we've got part 5 of the rundowns dedicated to underrated perfumes in my collection in my personal view. However, let's dive straight into the ocean of perfumes. And the first fragrance I'd like to introduce to you is called J by French brand Costume National. Now this fragrance is all about Japan apparently, and Japanese cherry blossom note. Now I have to say that I happen to be a fan of cherry blossom. However, I do believe that cherry blossom fragrance is quite hard to be made unique. Now this one, in my view, is exactly this, quite unique scent. And we'll try to understand why. But first let's take a look at the notes that Fragrantica is giving us. So on the top we've got neroli, mandarin orange and lime. In the middle we have orange blossom, cherry blossom and rose. And finally in the base there is rice, cedar, cashmere wood and moss. Now this fragrance to me opens up with this bright powdery accord that's quickly followed by juicy and sparkly accord. And this creates sort of unusual juxtaposition between the powderiness and juiciness, which I think very unique in itself. However, what's also unique about this fragrance is that it gives you this unique combined note consisting of a little bit of everything. There is this bitter fruitiness, a little bit of floral vibe, a touch of powderiness and woodiness, and finally I can even detect a bit of fresh water. So the image I'm getting from this one is this remote cherry blossom tree that is bright and blooming. And this cherry blossom tree is painted in watercolors, and I'm looking at this painting from a distance. Another less artistic imagery I'm getting from this one would be slightly sweetened cherry blossom drink, although I have to say that this fragrance is far from being gourmand. So overall this scent is very well blended, inoffensive, but giving you this extra longevity within your bubble. This fragrance is quite versatile, meaning that it's all seasonal and all occasions. Plus, I do believe that it's quite unisex, despite the fact that cherry blossom is sometimes treated as a female-forward note. Well, not here. I think this fragrance is all genders, unisex, because of all the bitterness and complexity to it. So to me, it's simply a classics and masterpiece, which I couldn't recommend enough. Now, next up is another underrated fragrance of very popular line, and this is by House Dior. So the name of the fragrance, Forever and Ever, and the line is called Les Créations de Monsieur Dior. Such beautiful gems belonging to this line are, for example, Diorissimo, Diorella, which many of us know. However, this one I literally never heard of from anyone. So let's take a look at the notes first that Fragrantica is giving us. So the notes are not quite numerous. On the top we've got freesia, in the middle we've got jasmine, and in the base we've got rose. Now this fragrance opens up with this fresh, nondescript bouquet of flowers. Well, meaning that I cannot necessarily single out a specific flower. However, just this spring fresh bouquet oozing this utter freshness, which probably comes from freesia. So this fragrance is moderately sweet. It's slightly bitter as well, and that makes this fragrance classy and more mature in my view. Closer to the dry down, this fragrance becomes truly rose-forward scent. But rose here is fresh and natural, dewy rose, not the likes of powdery, woody, sort of Middle Eastern rose that's on a heavier side, but really light and airy. So in the deep dry down, this bitterness gets a bit amplified, and that's what makes this fragrance even classier and more mature. As far as I'm concerned, to me it's almost has this a touch of vintagey vibe, but this vintage vibe is done in a most beautiful and palatable way. If that makes sense, this vintage is done in a modern way. So in my view, this fragrance leans more to warmer season, meaning spring and summer, just because it has this utter floral sweetness and freshness around it. In my view, it's all gender scent despite being marketed to women. So also finally I have to mention that the concentration is EDT. However, it's quite long lasting, about 5 hours in my case. And finally, the fragrance, another masterpiece in my collection, is called Ege, and it's by house Nishane. And this fragrance is dedicated to the waters of Aegean Sea, which is part of Mediterranean, meaning that this fragrance belongs to aquatic profile. However, let's take a look at the notes. So on the top we've got violet leaf, yuzu and anise. In the middle we've got basil, mint and cardamom. And finally in the base there is licorice and olibanum. So I do not happen to be a fan of aquatic fragrances. In fact, aquatic profile is my least favorite of all. However, this one appears to be one of my favorites in the whole collection. And this is largely due to the fact that this aquatic is done in a non-conventional way. It's not expressed through cologne-like notes or accords, but it's rather expressed through herbal accords. So there is this spicy, zingy herbal accord aiming to replicate herbal variety growing near the sea or ocean. I can also detect a touch of petrol that's natural here, as if you could harvest this petrol from herbs. So again, this fragrance has this collective note of nondescript herbs, which are quite hard to break down, I believe. However, I'll try. So it's a bit piney, it's the likes of eucalyptus and tarragon with just a touch of this natural petrol. Now, also another unusual thing about this fragrance is that if you smell this scent up close, with your hand right across your nose, then you will get this utter herbaceousness that I've been just mentioning. However, in the air, you will clearly detect this aquatic accord, leaning more towards the likes of watermelon or cucumbers, but not at all towards salty, off-putting notes, which are oftentimes present in our aquatics. So again, this aquatic is done in a very unusual way, whereas certainly we get a whole lot of this oceanic coast, consisting of blue waters, but also with spicy herbs surrounding the ocean. So, and that's how this fragrance stays across the whole day, which in my case about 6 to 7 hours, which is not a bad deal for aromatic scent or aquatic scent. So also what I should draw your attention to is that I've seen this fragrance mostly featured in male-oriented lineups, although Nishane does market this scent as truly unisex, and that's how it appears to me. Quite unisex scent because it's not overly sweet, and despite the fact that fruitiness is present here through the likes of watermelon, it's not achieved by the presence of specific notes, but rather through the derivatives of those notes, if that makes sense. So it's one of those unique aquatics that are quite rare to come across, and it's quite palatable to me, as different from many other aquatic scents. So in terms of wear, I mostly wear this fragrance all seasons, but if I wore this in winter, then it would be my day scent rather, because of all the herbaceousness and freshness. So again, masterpiece that I'm recommending to you to test out. However, that's it, guys. This wraps up my video. If you liked it, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video, provide your comments if any. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.